What's poppin' T Squad? It's your girl Keisha. I'm here with my Lovecraft Country Season 1 Episode 8 review. Let me start off by saying this episode was fucking lit. This episode was lit from beginning to end. This is by far one of my favorite episodes from this season. Like, oh my God, they did the damn thing on tonight's episode. One of the best episodes of the season. I cannot wait to be done with this review so I can go back and watch it because, baby, them last 10 minutes was life. So everyone is gathered in the streets for the death of Emmett Till. You know, he was murdered. And I love the fact that they're depicting this on this show. So the younger generation who might not know much about Emmett Till can really get a visual for what happened to that young man. So Diana is there amongst all the people. It's sweltering hot in Chicago. She's upset, of course, because he was one of her close friends. Ruby, Montrose, Tick, and Letty are also there to show their respects. Tick keeps asking Letty, is she okay? And she like, yeah, I'm fine. It's just a little hot or whatever. So at this point, I'm like, does he know that she's pregnant? Have they had the conversation? So Montrose offers him some water, but he won't take it, of course, because he's still upset with his father. So we see Diana, she's just really emotional. You know, she's going through a lot. She just lost her father. Now she's lost her best friend and her mother has gone missing. So this little girl is just lost, literally. And I just feel so sad for her character. In this episode, we really get to see how young Black girls aren't being heard. Like, because throughout this episode, it's obvious that she's distraught and going through something, but no one really cares. And so many young girls feel that way, like they're just existing and no one cares. So Letty says to Tick, she's seen too much death already. We should be protecting her. Tick then pulls her away and was like, you know, now is not the time for this. And she was like, you know, we need to tell her that about Hippolyta and that she might not be coming back because, you know, she got stuck in the portal. Ruby asks, then where's Diana? Because Diana's disappeared. She's run off. So they go looking for her, and now is not the time for her to be running, roaming around Chicago with things being so, tension being so high. So Diana is roaming along amongst the streets, and these two Black girls come out of an ice cream shop and they're giggling and laughing, and Anna picks up some rocks and start throwing at them and tells them nothing is funny. Like, how could you be laughing after what happened to Emmett? Like, what the fuck? So she's losing it. Like, she's just snapping off on everybody. And this was the first time I noticed the actress that plays Diana's hair. Like, she has the beautiful, lustrous head of long, full, thick hair, like so pretty. The little girl is just pretty in general. So Captain Lancaster then pulls over and asks her, is her name Diana? And she was like, yeah, like, of course she's scared. They got her cornered in the alleyway. It's Captain Lancaster and another white officer. And then he asked what's her mother's name, and she was like, Hippolyta. And one of the officers that's holding her is like, Hippo who? Motherfucker. So Captain Lancaster asked, where is Hippolyta? She was like, you know, she's gone on a guide trip or whatever. So then we see the younger white officer start drawing these lines on the concrete or whatever. And Diana tries to run and he trips her. And I was like, oh, motherfucker, you got to go. You got to die. So Lancaster then says a spell that makes these worms come out of the ground. And he then spits in his hand and presses it on her forehead. Child, bitch, I would have died that day. I would have died that day because, nigga, you got me fucked up. You think you about to put a glob of spit of yours on my forehead? And it looked like your breath smelled like Benson's and Hedges, menthol, and potted meat. Nigga, you got me fucked up. So Diana begins to not be able to breathe. They then drop her and leave. And she, of course, is scared out of her mind. So she starts running. As she's running, the cream of wheat man on the poster eyes follow her. And I was like, ooh, creepy. Now, mind you, I'm a scary ass bitch. I normally don't like scary stuff, but this does not scare me. None of the stuff that happens on Lovecraft Country scare me. It actually like enthralls me. Like, I love seeing all the blood and the gore and the prosthetics and the makeup and all of that stuff. Like, it just intrigues me so much. Like, I get my life watching this. So Letty goes home looking for Diana, and when she goes into one of the rooms, she sees a young Asian woman sitting there waiting for her, and we realize that it's Gia. And I was like, oh shit, it's about to go down. The two loves of Tick's life are about to come face to face. So Tick meets with Christine at the cemetery and asks her to teach him how to cast a spell. She sees that he's desperate and knows he's found Titus's pages. He then shows her the key to the Ori. And of course, she wants it. So she tells him he needs energy to cast a spell. So she shows him the protection symbol and tells him to trace it around the location he's going to cast a spell. So since she's giving him that tea, he then gives her the key to the Ori. So as she's about to leave, Tick says the autumnal, is that how you said the word? Autumnal equinox? I think that's how he said it. What's going to happen? So Christina, she freezes. And so she was like, I'm going to achieve immortality. And I was like, oh, this bitch want to live forever? Okay, girl, I see you, bitch. So Diana returns home and Montrose asks her where she been. And she tells him to stop acting like her daddy because her daddy is dead. Like, she has had it with you niggas. So she asks him, is her mama dead too? And of course, he doesn't want to tell her. So she was like, why is everybody lying to me? So she storms into the bathroom and she, scrubbing her forehead with water to get the stench and the shit off of her. She just feels yucky inside. And she then puts on a baseball cap. Now, I don't know if the baseball cap was Emmett's or was one of her father's. I don't know. Or maybe it could have been hers. But I felt like the hat was symbolizing somebody. So she's putting on her sneakers and she turns on the radio to drown Montrose out. And the camera pans on the book Uncle Tom's Cabin. And so she gets this eerie feeling across her as the music then changes on its own. And she looks over to the Uncle Tom's Cabin book and the little girl on the cover has turned into a jigaboo. And it scares the shit out of her. So she was like, fuck this, I'm out of here. And she goes out the window. Meanwhile, Montrose has been on the other side trying to tell her that he understands what she's going through. He lost his best friend as well. So as she leaves, he comes into the room and sees the book on the floor and wonders where the hell has Diana ass gone. So Ruby is trying to get into Christine's house. And this white man across the street that ain't minding his motherfucking business asked her if she the maid. And she was like, no, I'm not the fucking maid. He was like, what you say that, girl? So she, of course, realizes that she fucked up and, gets nervous as he's crossing the street. But as soon as he's crossing the street, William pulls up and asks, what's going on or whatever. And the white man was like, it's been a lot of stuff going down on the south side. We don't want that shit coming out here. So he goes away and William then escorts a crying Ruby into the house. And she tells him that Emmett looked like a monster. And if you've seen the pictures of Emmett Till, his whole face was dismembered. He was unrecognizable. And his mother wanted people to see what these white men had done to her son. And that image will forever be imprinted into our brains. So they walk into the house and he runs her a bath and undresses her and bathes her. And he kisses her and she kisses him back. So I'm like, oh, Ruby, you like Christina. Because you know that William is Christina. This is weird, but I'm gonna go with you, girl. I don't know. This shit is confusing me, child. So she's kissing William back, but then stops herself because she like, this is weird. Even she was like, this shit is weird because I know this ain't William. This is Christina. So this is making me gay. What the fuck is going on here? So Ruby then gets out of the bathtub and she takes the potion because she needs to be someone else, I guess, to make it okay for her to fuck William. So William, as she's taking the potion, is undressing because he want to tear that shit up. So next thing we see, they fucking. She's Hillary now. She's the white virgin. And she riding him and they fucking the shit out of each other. And as soon as she orgasms, her body starts to morph back into Ruby. And it was one of the coolest things I have ever seen in my life. All of the blood and the skin peeling as she's orgasming. You know, when she changes, her body gets to cracking and ticking, but she cracking and ticking and convulsing from the orgasm. Meanwhile, William then lay her on her back and get the digging in them guts, bitch. And after she's fully morphed back into Ruby, you know, William kisses her in the mouth and they enjoy their time. And I was like, well, bitch, Ruby and Christina are lovers. They are in love with each other. Just be with each other as bitches, goddamn. But this is kinky shit and I'm here for it. So Tick returns home and has this uneasy feeling as soon as he walks up the steps and he sees Gia's shoes at the door. So he goes in and finds them both his bitches sitting at the table together. And I was like, oh shit, you in trouble, nigga. So Diana goes to the train station. I don't know where the hell she thought her ass was going, and sees these two scary young girls that are jigaboos, but they're monsters as well, taunting her. So she freaking the fuck out like, y'all niggas don't see this shit. So she trying to run through the crowd and get away from these motherfuckers. And I found the jigaboos to be hilarious, child, because the jigaboos was getting the bitch. Shit, if I was Diana, I would have started dancing with their asses. So the two dancers that played the jigaboo did an awesome job. So Tick says to Gia, you're a succubus. And she was like in Korean and something else. So she explains, you know, that when, you know, she has sex with men and they orgasm, she takes their soul. So Tick says, when am I supposed to die? Because I don't give a fuck about none of that other shit you talking about. So Jill was like, I don't know. So T was like, if you ain't got no answers, bitch, why the fuck are you here? He's so rude. So Letty says, because she loves you. And it really hurt Letty because, like, I love you. I'm carrying your child. And here is this ex that was your first that you was in love with here at our table. Like, I'm pretty sure with so many things ran through her mind of, is it going to be over between us? Do you still love her? Or are you going to leave me? Like, what, like the fuck? So Letty storms out and Tick then leans over into Gia's face and says, our shit wasn't real and I'm not dying. So you get the fuck out. And her feelings were so hurt because she genuinely does love Tick and she's scared for him. I think that there is some feelings there still for Tick, but Letty is his person, his one. His feelings for Letty outweigh his feelings for Gia. But like I said, I think there's still emotions there and they still have unfinished business. So Gia leaves. He chases Letty upstairs, and Letty is pissed, baby. Letty is mad. And Journey Smollett did such a good job in this scene. Both of the actors did a wonderful job in this argument. So she said she needs to get the fuck out of here. Go, and she was like, you go with her. So she get to packing this nigga shit on some Angela Bassett. Get your shit, and get the fuck out. And she said, all that shit we've been through, I had to hear it from her. Like, exactly like, nigga, I done died. If you couldn't tell me that you done fucked the monster, bitch, like, come the fuck on, nigga. So Tick said, I didn't know how to tell you. I thought I was protecting everyone. And Letty said, well, you done fucked up because everybody but you done died since you been back. And I was like, oh, bitch, you went there? And Tick was looking like, oh, so that's what we doing now? So he then storms off and she runs in behind him because you could tell she kind of low-key felt bad. So Tick said, she was like, where are you going? He was like, I'm going to make it right. I'm going to cast a spell. I gave Christina the Ori key and she taught me. And Letty was like, you can't trust her. What if this is the way you die? And Tick said, I'm protecting us and our future. Letty said, there's too much at stake. And Tick says he has no choice. So at this point, I'm like, does he know about the baby? Does he not know about the baby? If he doesn't know, bitch, now's the time to tell him. So Ruby explains Emmett Till's death to Christina. Wow, both ladies are looking exquisite in their fashions, especially Christina. I love that outfit she had on. Christina, a bad bitch. And so she asked Christina, does she care? And Christina was like, you want me to say yes? And Ruby's like, I want you to feel guilty for being safe. You want to know why I took that potion? Because today of all days, I didn't want to be a black woman fucking a white man. That was a powerful line. but you weren't fucking a white man, you were fucking a white woman. We need to clarify that, Ruby. Like, you're a little bit delusional, bitch, about what's going on here, but I love that line. But, you know, I think in this scene, her character really wanted to know, like, because she really felt a genuine connection between her and William. And I think that she really felt like William cared for her. So now she wants to know, does Christina actually care about me and the things that I'm going through? Because she has this blurred line of having emotions for William, but William is actually Christina. And I think she's fighting with her emotions of, am I attracted to this woman? Does this woman really care about me? So it's a strange line that she's towing with her emotions. So Christina say, no, I don't care about Emmett Till. And I don't think you care either. You took that potion because today you were a woman who wanted what she wanted. And I 100% agree with Christina. I don't think that Ruby didn't care about Emmett, but Ruby enjoyed being selfish for that moment. She wanted the D, she got the D, and that's what it is. Like, you ain't gonna try to pin this on me, but it was fucked up for Christina to say she didn't give a fuck. But most white people don't give a fuck about the black people's plight. They don't understand it, they don't get it, and they simply don't care because that's what they have been trained to do. So she leaves the room, and Ruby is left with her thoughts. So Diana goes to Letty's house looking for Tick. Letty is, of course, preoccupied and doesn't want to talk for real. Diana, what's her name? Letty starts walking down the street and Diana sees the jigaboos again. So she's like, Letty, like, watch out. But before she can even say anything, she gets choked up and she can't speak. And that's the spell. Captain Lancaster didn't want her to be able to tell anybody what she's seeing. So the jigaboos then start to follow her. And she's freaking the fuck out. So Montrose tells Tick that D snuck out again. So Tick sits beside his dad on the street curb and says, did you cheat on my mama? And it was like, nigga, y'all just cut straight to the point. So Montrose says, I had desires, but I never did. And he tells him a story about when he was 8 years old, how his pastor was caught with another man and he was arrested by the police and sent to an insane asylum. And he was like, you know, I chose life over an asylum. And especially back then, you had to do what you had to do to survive. And it's unfortunate that, you know, Tick was, had to take the brunt of him being in hiding for who he was. That was the fucked up part about it. So Montrose says that him and Tick's mom just wanted a family. All of her family were killed in the riots and he didn't have anybody and couldn't be himself, and they just wanted to have a family because neither of them had anybody but each other. And he says it wasn't about love. And Montrose says, you'll see one day if God blesses you to have kids. Tick then tells him Letty's pregnant. And he says, but she hasn't told me yet. Hippolyta isn't the only one who went through the portal. I saw the future. And that's how we find out that he knows that Letty is pregnant, because he hands Montrose the Lovecraft Country book and says, that's my son. His son is the one who wrote the Lovecraft Country book, and they named their son George. Be still my heart, that is so sweet. So I was shook when that was exposed. I was like, oh my God, the way they connected the dots with this shit is just so fucking good. I love great writing. So Letty is in church and she's praying to God to protect Tick, but she also asked Christine to meet her there. So Christine come in and sit next to her, and Letty offers negatives of Titus's pages if she makes Atticus invulnerable. And invulnerable, if you don't know what it means, because even though I'm a smart bitch, I had to look up the shit. I was like, invulnerable? Why the fuck would she use that word? I'm like, invulnerable. Let me look. And it says impossible to harm or damage. So she wanted to make sure that basically Tick won't die. So Christine says, not for Atticus, for you. Letty don't want to do it. Letty was like, fuck that. So she snatches the negatives back. Christina gets up to leave, and Letty was like, wait, bitch. So Christina, of course, knew she had her and smirks and turns around. So Christina then does the spell on Letty and says that she learned it could heal someone, and she takes the negative. So Letty has the spell where she can no longer be hurt or damaged. She can't die. So I was like, oh, bitch, my girl got safety. So, but I was like, what does that mean for Tick though? Because he's still supposed to die. So it's nighttime now. Diana's on the bike in the alleyway staring at Lancaster and the other officer, and she's waiting on them to leave. Meanwhile, the jigaboos are behind her, popping and locking and dancing and coming up the fuck on her. So when Lancaster and them drive off, she then follows them on her bike, and the jigaboos follow her. So Montrose tells Tick that he shouldn't have given Christina Hiram's key, and Tick was like, it don't matter because it's broke. Like, she ain't gonna be able to use it. I was like, smart thinking, Tick. So Tick says white folks in the future were riding. I was only there for a second before the woman with the hood gave me the book and pushed me through the portal. Who is this woman with the hood? I need to know these things. So he also tells Montrose that the book is dedicated to Tick. He tells Montrose that some things in the book were changed. The things that I told you guys that I read about the book when I looked at the spoilers, how in the book George lives, Diana's real name is Horace, Christina was a man. All of those things are in the original Lovecraft Country book. Montrose, I'm sorry. And that in the book, Christina sacrifices him to become immortal on the autumnal, I don't know if I'm saying that right, autumnal equinox, which is in 5 freaking days. So time is ticking, and now we know that Christina is going to sacrifice Tick in order to live forever. Now, I know how things end in the book. I'm not going to tell you guys because, hey, they might change it. They've changed several things from the book on to the television show. So they might change the ending and it might be something totally different from the book. So can't wait to find out what's going to happen as well. So Tick Montrose tells Tick that he's going to do everything in his power. Tick says he's going to do everything in his power to live for his son. And Montrose tells him that he's going to do everything he can to save his son and his grandson, even if it kills him. And I really like that they finally come to a common ground and really are starting to build some type of trust and a relationship between each other. So Diana storms into Lancaster's office. Diana said, you know what? I'm a black woman, bitch. And I am reclaiming my time. And so Lancaster and the other officers sitting on the couch, and she asked, is my mama dead? Like, he was like, she might be. And she was like, what's going to happen if the jigaboos catch up to her? He was like, I'll remove the spell if you bring me to Ori. So Diana spit on that motherfucker and tells him, fuck you, pig. I was like, yes, Diana. So she storms out, and the other officer goes to, get her, and Lancaster was like, let her go, like, she gonna be dead anyway. And I was like, what the fuck that mean? And I was like, oh, and then it all made sense at the end of the episode. So Diana then faces off with the jigaboo. She get on her bike and try to run one of them motherfuckers over, but the little jigaboo didn't jump out of her way. Mind you, she's the only person that can see the jigaboos. So Montrose and Tick prepare for the spell. Montrose tells Tick that, he's dyslexic, and Tick is like, is there anything else that you're hiding from me? And you see Montrose have this weary look on his face because he knows that he's not Tick's father. So now that we know that Tick's mother knew he was gay and that they just wanted to have a family, I'm wondering... So I'm thinking now that since they had an understanding, they were just married for, companionship, not for love. She then ended up, though, falling in love with George. So I'm wondering, did her and George have an affair while he's been married to Hippolyta? Or did this happen pre-Hippolyta? Like, I need more context. Because... she had to have fucked Montrose for him to think it was a possibility that Tick was his son. So I need more context on this. So, but I'm like, you need to tell him the truth. So, because that's gonna fuck him up and that's gonna separate them again. So Montrose ends up doing a spell. They wait and nothing happens. So they feel like they failed. So Christina is at the pier with two white men and they asked her if she's ever done this before. She was like, I paid you your money, motherfucker. Just do what I asked. So then she says a spell. The next thing you know, they get to beating the shit out of her. I mean, beating the dog shit out of her. Then after they beat her, they shoot her 3 times in the chest. And then they take barbed wire, tie it around her neck, throw the end of it into the water, and her body slides off the pier into the water for her to drown. And the man was like, one of the men were like, why would anyone want to die like that? And that's when we realized, I'm sorry. So as they walk off, Christina then pops up out the water, gasping for air and crying hysterically. And she did that because she wanted to see what Emmett Till went through and what he felt. And that was the only way for her white self to understand what that young boy went through that night when those white men killed him. And that's so sad that it takes for a white person to have to go through it to understand someone else's pain and plight and just to simply care. But it also showed that she has feelings for Ruby. They have this weird connection. They have feelings for each other. And she wants to better understand Ruby. So, child, that's a lot to swallow. So, Letty is downstairs in her dark room, and Ruby comes down to talk to her, and Letty tells her that she's pregnant. Ruby like, girl, like, really, bitch? I was like, Ruby, now's not the time to be getting on her head. Let's be a supportive sister for once. God damn it. So Ruby ends up telling her that, yeah, I know about the magic. I know about George. And she tells her about Christina and how Christina gave her the potion to change into a white woman. And Letty was like, girl, she is using you. But Ruby, of course, does not want to listen because she has feelings for Christina. So then we hear a man say to Letty, you need to get up here now. So they rush up the steps. We then see Diana go into the bookstore and locks all the doors except for one because she knows the jigaboos is coming for her. She ready to fight. So the police are then arrive to, we find out that the man told Letty to come upstairs because the police have surrounded the front of the house. They're banging on the door. So Diana is at the bookstore preparing to fight. And then all of a sudden she starts to draw. And I was like, maybe she was drawn because she was nervous. She just wanted to bide her time until the jigaboos came to get her. So then we see Ruby and Letty at the door, and Captain Lancaster says that they heard that the Nation of Islam has been holding meetings there. And Ruby like, nigga, I mean, Letty was like, lies you tell. Like, boy, get out of here. So one of the officers is able to freely walk in, but when Captain Lancaster tries to walk across the threshold, he gets zapped. He can't get in because the house has, been protected with the goat's blood. So he was like, oh, okay, all right. So they all walk off. And Letty closes the door, and Rupert's like, what was that? She was like, the house is protected. He can't get in because, he knows magic. So as they're talking, gunshots just start ringing. The police are now shooting up the house. Letty and Ruby and the man fall to the ground, trying to protect themselves, screaming. So the jigaboos then arrive at the bookstore. Diana starts fighting one of them, start beating the shit out of it, but the little motherfuckers won't die. So the other one then comes in and closes the door. So the cops are still shooting at the house. Letty then rises because she realizes, oh, bitch, I've been covered by the blood of Jesus. Ain't nothing gonna happen to me. These bullets get to bouncing off her ass and shit. I was like, you better be a Captain Marvel motherfucking MCU action hero, bitch. So Ruby like, girl, get down. I'm like, girl, your sister is fine. Y'all two got to worry. So Montrose then busts into the store because he hears Diana screaming and shit. And he like, Diana, stop, because he walking in seeing her fighting nobody. So he just think Diana losing her motherfucking mind. But lo and behold, one of the jigaboos is like clawing at her skin, and her skin is rotting, and you see blood going everywhere. And the other jigaboo is doing a moonwalk and shit. And I was like, God damn it, poor Diana. So That's what Captain Lancaster meant by she gonna die anyway, because she gonna die from going crazy and the motherfuckers gonna kill her ass. Them goddamn jigaboos. So Tick then is walking home and hears gunshots. And so he runs up the streets and the police see him and he's like, get your hands up, boy. And so he holding his hand up. He's scared, of course. All these white men are pointing a gun at a black man. Still today, we're going through this. So Letty looks out the window and sees him and she freaks out and she like, not today, Satan. So she get to run outside saying, no, no. And that's when I lost my shit. I cover my mouth like, oh Lord, is this how Tick is supposed to die? Lord, no. Then one of the officers shoots the fucking gun. I was like, holy shit. The bullet is going. And I'm like, this is how Tick is supposed to die. This is how Tick is supposed to die. And then all of a sudden, one of the what are they called? Shaggoth or whatever the motherfucking monsters come up out the goddamn concrete, bitch, to protect Tick. This one is his friend. The other ones that were following them beginning of the series were Christina. She was the one that could control them. This is Tick's. That's why it was black. And I was like, yes. So the monster come up off the ground and get to fucking them goddamn officers up. And ain't nothing better than seeing racist officers get eat up by motherfucking monsters. So Tick and Letty are running because they don't know what the fuck to do. They don't know if this motherfucker about to get them like the other ones was. The monsters end up fucking up. The monster ends up fucking up all the goddamn officers, killing all of them. And then it jumps and lands in front of Tick and Letty and roars. And they at first think that it's going to try to fuck them up and eat them. But what's his name? Tick has his hand like this, and the Shaggoth, because I think that's what they're called, lowers his head like a pet, like just rub my head. And that's when they realize, oh, he one of yours, bitch. You ain't got nothing to fear. And that's how the episode went off, baby. That episode was dynamite. I give it 5 stars, A+, 10s across the board. Misha Green and everybody over there, Lovecraft Country, have crafted an awesome, genius show. And tonight's episode proved it. It was so jam-packed with just greatness. I cannot wait to watch it again. Let's talk down below in the comment section. Make sure to thumbs up this video, like and subscribe, and hit that notification bell button. My Fargo review will be up tomorrow, so look out for it. I love you guys. And make sure you check out my behind the scenes tea video on Nene Leakes and Monique from Real Housewives of Potomac. Bye, guys.